Pretty warm today. Low 20s according to the car, but on the trail I've been on, it's open to the sunshine and there's white rock on one side and a shelving hill to the lake on the other. So I'm pretty warm, but I've hit 2,600 steps and I think this would probably be a good time to turn around. I'm at the point where I'm almost to a gate, which I think goes to houses. I'm going to head back to the car and grab my swimsuit and have a dip in the lake to cool off. I'm test driving my crossbody bag, the perfect size to hold a phone, a driving license, and even a couple of balls of yarn and a crochet hook. Well, that was a good hike. It was hot. But sometimes getting hot and sweaty is worth it when you know there's a cool swim at the end of it. There's people around on the beach. They're probably going to wonder why I'm talking to myself. I went in the water. I forgot to bring my swim shoes or some sandals I could swim in, which is a pain because this is a very pebbly beach, which is why it's colloquially known or locally known as the Pebble Beach. No surprise there. People aren't very imaginative. So I hobbled into the water, had a little splash about and hobbled back towards the beach. I don't go in very far. I don't mind going out of my depth if I know there's no weed, but usually I stay fairly close to the beach. As I was heading back towards the towel, I saw a wasp that looked like it was going to drown. It was semi-submerged on the surface of the lake, so I managed to scoop it up and bring it back to my towel and let it dry out, and it flew off. So I guess I saved a life today, so that was good too. Going to soak up a little bit of sun because at this time of the year it always feels like summer's running out. You've got to get your sun and your swimming in when you can. I'm not one of these hardy types that go swimming in the winter. I changed my mind on my location of my hiking today. I can't remember if I said earlier, but I messaged a friend to see if she wanted to come hiking with me today and then for a swim, but she was busy. And she said that the park I was intending to go to, there'd been a bear spotted that had stopped and watched the people going by for a while. And I thought, okay, if I'm on my own, I probably shouldn't encourage encounters with bears when I don't have company. So I changed my mind and came to this hike instead. It's very open. There were quite a few, not quite a few, but there were other walkers. So I felt safe. I do like to walk among the trees, though. You get that lovely shade when it's hot. But hey, I had a lovely view of the lake. Hello, lovely people. I hope you enjoyed the little intro that I did this week because I had a little bit of footage from the thunderstorm a little while ago and a little bit of squirrel footage from yesterday because I noticed when I looked out first thing in the morning that the bird feeder was going crazy and the squirrels were all over the place. I noticed the starlings are flocking too, so that's a really big sign of fall here. Like every year at the end of August, massive crowds of starlings in the trees around here, and they're like tweeting like mad. And then today I did a hike and a swim, and it was on my own. I did ask one friend if she would join me, but she wasn't available, and I just thought, I'm just going to do it on my own. I need the exercise, and I want to enjoy it all before it gets too cold. So let's sort of rewind and start where I normally start. I'm Nicola. This is my Stitches and Slapdashery sewing room. And hasn't been any sewing this week. I'm hoping just to sort of faff about with my sewing machine a bit tonight, just to get something done, because I feel like playing and I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. I have got a little bit of progress on the knitting to show you, only a little. And we're going to pack my bag for the Make-along, which starts September 1st. Really excited about that. Can't wait to start my crochet project, the Technicolor Dream Coat. And that's by Earth Tricks, and it's an amazing long crochet coat with a long pointed hood. You can do a rounded hood, but of course I want to go do the full meal deal, the pointed hood. And I have all of this yarn here to use, which should be more than enough. I live in fear of running out before I'm finished my project, but I don't think that's going to happen. However, it is made top down, so you can always budget, I suppose is the word, if you have to, or just work until you run out of yarn. I'm really looking forward to that. So if you don't know about the Make-along, check out my last vlog, number 62. It's for crocheting, knitting, or sewing. I want everyone to join in who can. And there aren't many rules. It's starting September the 1st. It's going to November the 30th. And it needs to be colourful. One of the commenters from last week, thanks so much for all the comments last week, by the way. That was amazing. So many commenters, and I was really encouraged by it. I'm hoping to see lots of you joining in and posting your photos to Instagram. So the hashtag for Instagram is slap-colormel2024. Colour is spelt with the U, because I'm a Brit living in Canada, and we spell it with the U. And yes, somebody asked me, is there a minimum number of colours? And I said, well, it depends on the person. To me, 12 colours is super colourful. To somebody else, 3 colours might be super colourful. You might just use one yarn, but it changes colour as you go. You know, it might be a variegated yarn. It has to be colourful, because colour is happy. And it needs to be something that's big enough to keep your lap warm as we're going into fall. If you're in the southern hemisphere, spring is probably still a little cool, and so hopefully it's not too warm for you to join in. And so it needs to be something either like a sewn quilt, or a crochet blanket, or a knitted blanket, or a big shawl, like one of those book readers shawls, which is a big wrap with the big pockets maybe, or a lovely big cozy sweater, something amazing. I know you guys are going to come up with some great ideas. So very excited. I'm recording this right now on Friday evening. It starts on Sunday. I'll probably pop this up on the interwebs tomorrow. And yeah, I'll be ready to get going with my crochet hook on Sunday. Hope you will be too. It's Labor Day weekend here. So it's a holiday on Monday, public holiday. And I got finally got a call today to say I have training shifts scheduled for next week at Michael's. I'm very excited about that. I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in. I felt a little bit in limbo the last couple of weeks because she took a long time to get back to me. But looking forward to getting going on that. So let's pack some yarn, shall we? I swear, sometimes I do want to kick myself. This is the third start at showing you this bag and packing my yarn because I realized I didn't have my light on and you couldn't see the colors of the yarn properly because it's so dim in this corner. This is the bag I've chosen for my make-along project. It is a gorgeous pink bag. The wool-like fabric is actually a rayon blend. I think it's a rayon synthetic blend. And I made the bag a few years ago with fabric from the place I worked at. I built this all up from scrap, this pumpkin applique, and cut the shape out of it and zigzagged around it. And then the lining is also made from strips of scraps. And the handle is attached using curtain grommets, which is so easy because they just snap in. There's no special tools required. I just love that. I'm going to pack my essentials in here. I'm not going to print the pattern. I think I noticed that it was something like 64 pages because obviously there's a lot to it. Different sizes, probably, different hood variations, all that sort of thing. So I'm just going to be reading and working from the pattern off my laptop or my phone. I have my essential tools here, my 6mm hook for worsted weight yarn, my little scissor and darning needle pouch. I think it was Ellie at Craft House Magic who did the tutorial for this. Super simple. Decided to keep it for myself and I have used it ever since I made it. It's great. Loops and Threads Impeccable is the 100% acrylic yarn I am using for this project. It feels a lot softer than I remember. I think I'm going to have to do a review video of this yarn because I think it's going to be far nicer to work with than it was a few years ago. It definitely feels a lot nicer now. And it comes in such a wide range of colors. It's great. It's a big skein, 4.5 ounces, or 127 grams. You get 285 yards or 260 meters in a ball. It's a number 4 worsted or medium weight. And when I recorded this the first time around, I was saying, yeah, the color numbers, I have to give you the color numbers because there's no name of colors on the ball band. And then I discovered there were color names on the ball band. So here we are. This one is called Claret/Bordeaux. Now, Claret and Bordeaux are two very different wines. I'm not sure whether it's closer to a Claret or a Bordeaux, but it's a deep red anyway. So that's color number 1. We've got one that is pumpkin. This one is eggplant. This one here is lavender. This one is aqua. This guy is, for some reason, the color number and the color name are not next to each other. Sky blue. This one is called teal. Okay, so they got the English and French. You're in Canada, everything's English and French. I think if you're in the States, it tends to be English and Spanish, doesn't it? This one is gold. Wow. My bag is looking full already. This is citron, kind of a lime green or a chartreuse, I'd call that. This one is called Guacamole. This one is Lippy. Haha. Presumably short for lipstick. Oh, and this one, oh, I think this is my favorite out of all of the ones I picked. It's called Rich Orchid. Look at that, my bag's overflowing. So I suspect that this is going to be a couch project, sure. I doubt very much if I will be taking it out and about with me anywhere. So when I go on holiday in October, it will definitely be left at home and I will have to come up with a project for travel. But I'm really, really excited to get started on that. I'm going to take this upstairs when I'm done here and install it next to my side of the couch so I can get crocheting on Sunday. So I have to confess that one of the reasons I haven't done a lot of crafty stuff this week is that I've been stuck in some books. It's funny, I can go for a long time without reading a book and just immerse myself in my making, but when I get started on a reading jag, everything else falls by the wayside of it. So a couple of vlogs ago, I showed you Val McDermid's books, 1979 and 1989, that I happened to find at the library. And I read those in a week or less, both of them. I had not read them before. I wasn't sure at the time that I was telling you about them, whether I had already read them or not, but I had not. And they were a different main character from the books of hers that I've read before, but I really enjoyed them. And then on the recommendation of one of you lovely people, Cheryl, you suggested that I might like Karen Slaughter's books. And so I put one on hold at the library. I had no idea which one. So I picked The Good Daughter, and I really enjoyed that as well. I read it as an ebook. And yeah, it's dangerous. Couple of nights this week, I was in bed by 9:30 and I was up bright and early the next day. Well, not last night. I got stuck into that book and I just didn't want to put it down. So I was up till midnight. At least I had the common sense to get ready for bed first. So I had my teeth in, I had my retainers in, had my teeth in. Yeah, I always have my teeth in. I brushed my teeth and put my retainers in, washed my face, put a nice hemp cream on from the Body Shop. And so then I settled on the couch knowing that all I had to do was visit the bathroom before I went to bed. You really needed to know that, didn't you? Totally you did. So that's 3 books finished this week, which has been awesome. And then the book that I started today is an audio book. There was another book I read in the last week, which I forgot to tell you about. It's called Body Positivity Power, I think. Dang, I am terrible with titles. I can be in the middle of reading a book and not know what the heck the title is. Before I told you about the Karen Slaughter one, I had to go and make sure that I wrote down the title of that book because I forgot. Anyway, I think it's Body Positivity Power or something like that, and it's by Megan Jane Crabb with 2 B's, and she has an Instagram channel, Body Posi Panda. Body P-O-S-I Panda. I haven't seen any of her posts on Instagram yet because I only just started following her. But I think it's going to change my life. Body positivity is not something that I've managed to get a handle on in my 62 years. So I think it's time I did, because I've really got to stop fretting about how I look and just enjoy the fact that my body works as it should. And it doesn't matter about the lumps and bumps and wobbly bits, right? Not important. Have fun. Don't let the fear of what people think of you hold you back. That's a big one. So in that vein, I put another book on hold at the library. and I can't remember her name right now because it's so new to me and I literally just started listening to it today at the beach. But the title is called My Body Is Not an Apology. And I will definitely put the information underneath the video because I think that's going to be a really powerful one as well. Something else went through my head just then. Yes, Jerry, I think it was, asked for the recipe for the chocolate cake and the peanut butter frosting that I did for my birthday. So I will be putting that under the video as well so that you can check that out. And I think all that's left for this little bit is to show you the progress on my hoodie saurus. So here's my Serda jewel spun. And last time I think I had started the right sleeve, but it was not very big yet. So this is what it looks like so far. Here's the back. You can see, appreciate that lovely yarn. And this is how far I have got to. Random piece of yarn sticking to it here. This is how far I've got with the right sleeve. It's only 36 stitches. You know, if I had just applied myself a little bit to this, I could have had both sleeves done by now, by this time. But I've only been adding around here and there. And as I say, I've had my head stuck into a few books in the last week. But it's coming along and it's lovely. The yarn, it really is. The soft colours and the colour changes are lovely. So definitely recommend that yarn. It's very popular. I think I've seen a lot of people on Ravelry use it. And everyone has good things to say about it. I noticed it's starting to fall apart, my yarn ball here. I have a second ball of this. I'm really hoping that this will be enough to finish the whole thing so that I can save the other ball of it for something else. So the Hoodie Saurus pattern is by Little Theorem on Ravelry. And it will have, when it's finished, dinosaur scales down the back of the hood and the body. And I think it's going to look really, really great. Phew, I'm so warm right now. We went out for a walk this evening, so I hit 11,700 steps today. So go me. So just because I haven't sewn anything in what feels like too long, I made a little thing tonight. I went to Christine's Home Affairs YouTube channel because I really like her videos. She's Australian and she's like me. She doesn't like binding on the inside of things. She likes things that are lined properly. Oh, I love that. So I looked for something that I could use some scraps with. So I made some fabric using some of the 2-inch squares from my bag of squares. And I used some very thin fusible interfacing. And I put the squares side by side, ironed it onto the interfacing, and then did the seams. So yes, the interfacing goes into the seams, but it's very light. And I made new fabric out of 2-inch scraps. So that was fun. And I trimmed it to size, and then I used 3 of my 5-inch squares, which I had just trimmed down to 4.5, for the card pockets. So I made this really wacky little card wallet. It has a teeny tiny D-ring on the side. It's very small. I had to go and get some of my loyalty cards to put inside to convince myself that it wasn't too small for credit cards, because the top pocket especially looked really tiny or shallow, but it was fine. So the outside fabric, I used those squares. Obviously I lost a little bit where I had to shape the end there. And then the inside fabric, I used lots of darker ones. And then the pocket fabric was this flower fabric. It's got black background, lots of flowers. I don't know if you can tell, but that's what my curtains are made of in here. And I'm still using scraps. I made those years ago. I can't remember how many years ago. So I put 3 loyalty cards in there so that you can see that, yes, indeed, it does take 3 credit cards. And actually, this would have been useful for me to have today, because when I threw a few essentials into that crochet crossbody bag, I had my driver's license and my credit card with me, just in case. If you get stopped, you have to have ID on you. And you might decide you need some emergency ice cream on the way home or something, you know. So it's nice to have some way of paying for something if you need to. And it would have been handy to have had this with me. So admittedly, it's a little rough in places. Because I built up the fabric and I didn't just use a new whole piece of fabric to start with, there were some thick bits, which my Janome seems to struggle with these days. I don't remember if it's always struggled like that, but at the moment it does seem to struggle when there's just a bit too much thickness in the seams. So the top stitching is really rough, but it doesn't matter because it's just for me. So that was a nice way to use up some of those scraps. I'm really pleased with that. Going back to what I was talking about earlier, the book by Megan Jane Crabb is called Body Positive Power. I got that wrong. And the other one, The Body is Not an Apology. I think I might have said My Body is Not an Apology, but it's The Body is Not an Apology, and it's by Sonia Renee Taylor, Taylor. And I'm hoping that that's going to be a really educational and helpful read. So with regard to the make-along, I will put the rules in the description under the video as usual. I put it all in the last vlog, but I'll just copy paste it over so that you can see it if you need it. Just to remind yourself, it's #slapdashcolormel 2024 with the British spelling of colour, and @Stitches and Slapdashery, so that when you're posting to Instagram, I will see it, I'll get tagged. And if you don't have an Instagram account, you can just use my Stitches and Slapdashery Gmail address and send it to me. Send me a picture and I will put it up on Instagram for you. So post your yarn, tell us what pattern you're using, works in progress, finished objects, and let's have fun. Only one last thing to say. Thank you, Joan, for buying me a cup of coffee this week. For those who don't know, I have a Ko-fi link underneath the video, and Joan bought me a coffee this week. So I will enjoy that tomorrow when I go to town. Thanks so much. So I hope you enjoyed watching today. I hope I didn't ramble on too long this time. I think everything I said was essential and not too waffly, but you know, I can talk. And I really hope you're joining in with the make along, and I love to see your comments and get your feedback. And thank you for watching my videos. I'll see you again real soon. Bye.